Okay, we've basically cut down vertically, horizontally along the hash lines. So we got these little tiny cubes. What we're going to start doing is I'm going to start shaving these cubes out. See if they'll actually just pluck out first. And they are coming out fairly well. Actually, they're coming out really well. So you can see that it's almost perfectly flat. There's a few things which we'll clean up, and we'll get to that in a second. So I'm going to do the rest of these and show you the progress. Okay, we've took out a bunch of these little squares just by pulling them out. Problem is it kind of takes chunks out. Some are deeper than others, and I'm not quite sure how deep they're going to be. What I've ended up doing is taking the razor, flat one, kind of pulling on it a bit and just coming in and slicing each square off, and it makes it a lot more level. And then you go into the next one, that one comes out, and you just keep going, so on and so forth. Got all the squares cut out. There's a few high spots here and there. We'll put the foam in, see how it, or the gel in, see how it fits, and then we'll decide whether or not we want to sand some of that down. We'll take this, pop it in there. Actually, it's fitting really well. There's a few high spots along the edges that need to be worked out. So I'll concentrate on those. But in the center, I think we're okay. You can see where it's making contact in the center just by some shading, but unfortunately I cut a little bit too steep here, and there's going to be a gap in there. So I might put some foam in there just to fill in that gap. I'll show you that. I'll use some of that foam and I'll cut it and slot it in a couple strips lengthwise. Use a knife just to cut into the edge a little bit and drop it. I guess I need to go about 1/8 of an inch there and almost 1/4 of an inch there. It's not quite deep enough there. Okay, it's looking better. What I ended up doing was taking this and just scraping, and it's ripping off ever so slightly the odd piece of foam. And it's doing it in such a way that it's very controllable and very precise, believe it or not, albeit a little messy. So I got it practically perfect, and one of the things I was wanting to do was to make sure I kept this seating hole nicely curved and not let the foam push it up in the center. So you can see it's creating that dish. It's coming out really nice. Okay, now we're gonna hit it with 3M Super 77 spray adhesive. Comes with two tips. There's a red tip which does a 1-inch spray pattern, and then there's a white tip which does a 3-inch spray pattern. So I basically want to adhere the bottom side of that gel pad. I don't want it to slide around inside, so I'm just going to give it a nice liberal coat. This adhesive. Make sure I get the edges. Don't want to put too much on there. There's a setup time of, was it 10 seconds to 15 minutes? So I want to put this small piece in the front. Just like that. Yeah, it's nice and tacky. That was that. I tried it on the back side, it didn't quite fit really well, so I put it on the front instead. Now, we get the gel pad. Okay, we're going to lay it in. Making sure to wear gloves because that 3M adhesive is pretty sticky stuff. There. So that's not too bad. Now, probably not going to set up really well, because it is a gel, but I'm sure it will set over time. So now I'm going to go ahead and put my smoothing foam on. I put down this protective plastic just because anything that adhesive gets on will not come off. I should have covered this. I think that's all. Some staples I'm going to be using shortly. Arrow T50 with some 1/4-inch stainless steel staples. A little harder to find, the stainless steel ones, but they won't rust. I bought these specifically for doing this kind of job, and they're 1/4-inch, so they won't puncture through the seat too far, as you don't want to be sitting on that. And we'll sit here and we'll lay down this foam. It's looking pretty good. That looks fantastic. Make sure we get it all the way to the edge, and then we'll trim it with some scissors. And then we'll put the cover back on. That feels fantastic. Okay. Grab some scissors. And we'll start cutting loosely around the outer edge and then we'll do a fine cut later. This is where that smoothing foam really makes a difference. It just smooths everything out really well. Okay. Oh, it's really sticking. That's why I use the plastic. And just flip it over. I want to trim with the edge. It's a bit tricky in here. I'm going to try and cut the foam on the inside here. There we go, right there. Really good. And then trim this over here. So the last step is to put the cover back on and staple it up. Using the original cover. And this could be interesting. Let's start by putting over these humps over here, ears that are sticking out, because that kind of centered it from the last time. And then we'll go from there. Okay, I'm not going to show you this part, but you get the idea. Okay, we're all finished. Basically, to get it done, I started up in the upper corners and through here. I'd have to redo that one, it's sticking up a bit. So I knocked these in because they were pretty much already marked. Then I went to the back side, tacked it there, a couple tacks. And then I kind of filled them in here. Worked my way all the way around. There's a few that are kind of hanging loose, but they won't interfere with anything. Make sure I put lots of them around the outer edge to hold that in place. As you can see, profiles come back to normal, and this, which used to be tight across the top, now sinks in and gives you that cushioning rounded section. So we'll take her out for a spin, and I'll let you know in the comments how it turned out, but all in all, it worked out really well.